well and safe right now. It's as we record this on April 10th, 2020. Wanted to give you a quick update on what's going on with the local real estate market as well as how some of the national projections are going. Well, locally here in the Melrose area, what we're finding is that there, A, is very little inventory. B, there are still many buyers looking to buy. C, if a property shows well and is priced right, is still getting multiple offers and selling over asking price. Some people are asking me, how are we able to get into these properties? If the property is vacant, obviously there are no open houses anymore. So we're just doing private showings one at a time. None of these showings are overlapping, as safe as possible. If the property is occupied, the buyer is going to go through a series of virtual showings before writing up an offer. If that offer is acceptable to the seller, then the buyer can go in and take a look at the property inside. If the buyer is still interested in buying the property, they move forward in finalizing the agreement and will gain access to the property at the final walkthrough, which is right before closing. And we're having several properties go into agreement with that model, where the buyer does not see the property when they make an offer. If that offer's acceptable, not accepted, but acceptable, they then go into the property to take a look. And if it's acceptable to the buyer and the offer is still acceptable to the seller, you move forward from there. So right now, the name of the game locally here is that there just isn't enough property to sell to meet the demand. Now, let's take a look nationally at what's going on and what some of the experts are saying. This here is a graph showing what a lot of the financial institutions are predicting for the recovery of the recession. So there are three types of recoveries that economists refer to when looking at recessions. There's U-shaped recovery, which takes a little bit longer getting into the recession and a little bit longer to get out of it. Then there's L-shaped, where you pretty much hit the recession pretty quickly and you're in that recession for a very long time. And then there's this V-shaped type recovery. Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and Morgan Stanley all predicting V-shaped recovery with a rough Q2, but then getting out of it in Q3. Some of the facts to back this up, we've got interesting data here from the Harvard Business Review, talking about the history of pandemics vis-a-vis local the economies surrounding them. It's worth looking back at history to place the potential impact path of COVID-19 empirically. In fact, V-shapes monopolize the empirical landscape of prior shocks, including epidemics such as SARS, H3N2, the Hong Kong flu, the Asian flu in 1958, and the 1918 Spanish flu. Also, John Burns Consulting, one of the leading analysts for real estate, states historical analysis showed us that pandemics are usually V-shaped, sharp recessions that recover quickly enough to provide little damage to home prices. And some very cutting-edge search engine analysis by our information management team showed the current slowdown is playing out similarly thus far. Also, we want to I get a lot of questions asking about, does this recession equate a housing crisis? And how is this, or if at all, different from 2008, the recession we had there? Take a look at this chart here as we take a look at months of inventory of homes for sale. So what does that mean? Months of inventory is the time it takes to sell off all the inventory, given no other properties came on the market. So if you have 6 months worth of inventory for sale, it would take 6 months to sell off all the housing, given no other properties came on the market. So what does that mean? Well, typically anything under 6 months is more of a seller's market. We've been hovering in the 2 to 3 month range. Actually, in Melrose, it's been between 1 and 2 months worth of inventory. Once you get north of 7 months worth of inventory, that's definitely a buyer's market. So if you take a look here, back in 2006, 2007, we had levels of 7 to 10, 11 months worth of inventory of homes for sale. Take a look at today on the far right of the graph. We are down to just below 3 months worth of inventory. And this is national. Boston always paces ahead of the national numbers. In Melrose, we're between 1 and 2 months worth of inventory for sale. This is drastically different and kind of goes back to the point of very reflective of the activity we're seeing locally. I still have a lot of buyers that are dying for a good house to come on the market. There just isn't enough inventory right now. And as we look at it today, April 10th, this is a very different situation than back in 2008. Now, we have another interesting report to show you, findings from another report from Ivy Zellman in the Z Report, one of the leading real estate consultants. They, due to their research, they predicted the blue bars before COVID-19, their predictions for 2020 nationally for home appreciation. This is home price appreciation. There was going to be almost a 5% appreciation in 2020 and almost a 4% appreciation in 2021 before COVID-19. Now, post COVID-19, they've adjusted their predictions. In 2020, they're showing an appreciation of 3%. So that's an appreciation of 3% this year, despite everything that's going on nationally. Boston always paces ahead of the national numbers. In 2021, they've actually increased their value prediction to 4.2%. And in 2022, 4.6%. This is the Z Report, Ivy Zellman predicting this, and one of the leaders in real estate research. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to help in any way I can. Keep an eye out for webinars upcoming next week. We're having buyer and seller webinars, how to buy and sell real estate in the virtual marketplace. It's happening today. We had somebody in our office just put a property under agreement virtually. This is going to become the new norm for buying and selling real estate, for the near future. So if you have any questions, please feel free to comment below or reach out to me at billb@thebillbutlergroup.com. Hope everyone is doing all right and safe and well. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you again next week. Take care. Bye-bye.